Good day everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today you are joining me at Tidemills. I don't think I've filmed a video down here for my channel before, so this is the first time you see me fish this venue. Now had I got maddies with me, I'd have been targeting mullet today for sure. There's perfect conditions for them, there's hot weather, the sea is still. I've heard good reports from them being caught lately, but sadly I don't have any maddies. So my target's going to be see if I can pick up some schoolie bass. I've had good sessions down here for them before when it's been like this. I've got king rag with me as bait. I was hoping to fish on the sandy patch that's behind me because it's just after low tide now, but of course it's such a beautiful day and we're in the school holidays, so as predicted the beach is packed. Had the tides been probably next week's tides where they'd been 6 hours different, I'd have had a better chance of getting on that sand first thing in the morning if I'd got down here say 6 AM, but as it is, it's low tide at lunchtime, beach is packed. If I fish further towards Seaford, all the boats are out today. There's a little sailing club here, so that would have been tricky. Further towards the arm behind me, that New Haven arm that is, there's just too many people swimming down there, so I've picked, there's a patch of beach that's about probably 300 yards across that's got nobody on it, which is really what you'd think of as between Tidemills at New Haven end and Seaford at the other end, where people have to walk a bit further to get here. There's nobody swimming in front of me, so it's perfectly safe for fishing. And now it's time to get set up and get the rods chucked out. So what are the tactics going to be for today for these bass? Well, I've got 2 rods. I've got all my rigs and bits in this really convenient little carrying bag from Tronics Pro. So my rigs for the day, I've picked out a couple here, but you can see I've got loads of bits in there. Got spare line, spare leaders, little bits box that fits nicely at the bottom, and a load of rigs. Oh, just get that back in there. But the rigs for today, I've got a 2 up, 1 down rig. That's got 2 foot snoods on there with size 6 and 4 hooks. 1 little pop up. We'll take a look at that better when I've got it on the rod and set up ready to go. And I've also got a 20-inch loop rig, and that's got size 2 hooks on there. So that's going to go on my other rod. 2 rods today. I've got my 3-piece competition performance and my Banzai multi-tip rod. So the 2 up 1 down rig, that's going on the multi-tip. That's the lighter rig and the lighter rod, and the 2 up clip down is going on the competition performance. So we get to take a better look at these in a minute. For the 2 up loop rig, I've got a 4 ounce grip, and for the other rig I've got a 4 ounce pyramid. Those are good leads for today in these conditions where I'm trying to fish a bit lighter than normal to have a bit more of a sporting session. So anyway, we'll see what's about, we'll see what we can pick up, and I'm hoping there'll be some little bass in, even though I'm not down on the sand where I was hoping to get. So yeah, let's get cracking with setting up, guys. So I've got my first rod set up and ready to go. This is the Banzai multi-tip, and I've got my Shimano 14,000 Ultegra on there. Now usually when I use this reel either in Norway or down the marina, excuse me a second, my glasses are sliding down, it's a bit warm. Yeah, whenever I use this reel in Norway or down Brighton Marina, I have it loaded with 20-pound green blaze line and a clear shock leader. But today I've switched spool, and on there I have Trabuco tapered line, which is really high quality line. It's very expensive, but it's very good for light fishing like this. I forget the diameters of the line, but I think my main line's about 0.23, which is really good for the light summer fishing. And because it's a tapered line, the smaller eyes on rods like this, you've got no worry about your leader knot catching. Not that it does very often, but I like to eliminate that risk by using the tapered line for this kind of fishing. So this has got my 3 hook, 2 up 1 down rig on it with the 4 ounce pyramid at the bottom. The bottom hook I've loaded with 1 of the larger ragworm I've got with me today. The middle snood is loaded with a little bunch of rag, and it's got an orange pop-up. And the top snood, similar deal. We have a white pop-up, little bunch of ragworms. So these are size 4 and size 6 saltwater super match hooks. The snoods are about 2 feet long, so it's time to get this one sent out. Wish me luck. Let's get these bad boys out there. Lovely bit of wild dug rag loaded onto those hooks. I'm just going to flick it, not very far. Oh, my drop leg's a little bit long there. And one thing you might be able to see in the video, I don't know if it's picking this up, is the bend in that tip. Maybe if I put it that way around, you might be able to see that. But it's very, very tippy. If we get any bites, you're certainly going to see them on camera. So very gentle flick, starting fishing there, about 30, maybe 25, 30 yards out. But yeah, this line is truly lovely. One thing I didn't mention about it, actually, it's also colour coded. So different distances, you have a different colour line. There, I'm fishing in the pink bit. So let's see if there's anything at the pink distance. So my second rod is ready to go. This is the 3-piece Competition Performance Shimano Ultegra 14,000, and the same Trabuco tapered line on that reel. This has got the loop rig on. And I've loaded this with some of the bigger rag I've got with me. There's one on the bottom there. Snoods, I think I said they're about 18 inches long. Was it 20 inches, wasn't it? 20-inch loop rig. And there we go. So those worms are held in place with their little bait stops. But to be honest, because I'm starting off trying close in, I'm not going to bother clipping this up when I cast it out. But I've got the option to do so later on if I think the fish are going to be further out or I'm not having any luck close in. So it keeps my options open. So we're going to get this one whacked out with that 4-ounce grip on the bottom there. See if we can pick anything up. So I'm just going to do a nice gentle overhead flick to get these out. Slightly to my left. There we go. So that is at about, I'd say 60 yards, 50, 60 yards. And this time we're in the sort of grey purple colour there on the spool. So that's 2 different distances, 2 different rigs, 2 different rods, and we'll see what happens, see if the tactics make a difference today. So there we go. Both rods are chucked out. The rod on the left, that's the 3-piece Competition Performance. That's got the white tip. The rod on the right is the Banzai multi-tip with the orange tip on today. That's the heavier tip that it comes with. It comes with 2 others. You just push it in at the top there. See where the colour changes on the blank. That's the push-in tip, the orange part. So we're going to keep an eye on these and see how we get on. Will there be a bass out there with my name on today? Time will tell. Well folks, it's time to check the bait on the multi-tip rod. It's been having some very tiny little twitches, which suggests to me there's something very small out there plucking at the baits. Oops, I've got my line caught around my tripod. Let's get that off there. There we go. Very small things plucking at the baits. So we'll see if we've got any bait left on here. Haven't seen a single twitch on the other one. Let's take a look. Well, the baits all look absolutely perfect, so I'm just going to chuck them straight back out. Maybe slightly further this time than the last chuck. Explore those distances. So a little bit further than the last chuck. Couple of tails flung off in the cast, not ideal. But there's plenty of bait on there. Loosen that line a little bit. There we go. Baits are back out. Wow, what a glorious day to be out on the beach. It is absolutely stunning down here. Of course, that means a lot of beach goers, but I found a nice clear patch for fishing. Now, I've been wanting to do a sole video for the channel for a while now, but when the conditions have been right, I haven't been able to get out. And when I have been able to get out, conditions have been like this. Now, I'm not complaining as far as getting out in the lovely weather goes, but for sole fishing, I really want high tides around 1 in the morning with cloudy, overcast days and fairly still conditions. That's when I've had my best sole sessions in the past, and it certainly isn't like this now. In bright conditions like this, I'll be very lucky indeed to get a sole. It's certainly not in daylight, I wouldn't have thought, and even at night, if that moon is showing and brightening up the sky, then there's not much point me getting out trying to catch a sole. So I'm going with the conditions today. That's why I've come out targeting the Schoolie bass. We got high tide. I haven't looked it up exactly, but it's probably about 7:15 tonight. Depending on how busy the beach gets, I'm planning to fish through till around then. If it gets too busy when people finish after work and come down, then I'll probably pack up a little bit earlier. But yeah, we'll see how we go. The time now is 10 to 3, so I've certainly got a bit of time before we have to worry about that. I've got plenty of bait. If I have to go home with a bit of bait spare, wow, I'll just have to come out again later in the week, won't I? But so far, the rod tips have been fairly quiet, apart from very little gentle taps on the first cast I had on the multi-tip. That's the one with the orange tip there. And the other one's been sitting very still indeed. But we'll keep fishing, we'll keep trying to put a fish on camera. I've just reeled in the competition performance 3-piece, and the baits are absolutely untouched. Maybe you can see the other one there as well. So there's not a sign of life out in the sea yet. At least the baits aren't getting robbed, but I'm going to get this sorted out, chuck back out. Fresh bait, maybe that's what it'll take. Well folks, it's been very quiet, but we're going to check the baits on the multi-tip rod with the 3-hook flapper on there. I'm using fluorocarbon snoods on this rig because it's very clear sea, and some of those summer species have keen eyes, so we need to be as stealthy as possible when we're targeting them. I'm definitely a fluorocarbon convert. So how are these baits looking? Let us see. Well, they still look pretty much as they did when I sent them out. So I'm going to get these baits just topped up. The worms look in pretty good condition. If they're still wriggling, they can stay on the hooks, and I'll just add some more on there to get a bigger bunch of bait out to try and attract some interest. So there we have it. Not a lot of life yet, but we're at about mid-tide. It's maybe slightly before mid-tide, so it's still all to play for in the session. Well, we just had a bite. Just had a bite on the multi-tip. Really nice little tap. I was just about to do some online shopping with half an eye on the rod. Very nice little tap there. I'm going to do a bit of a twitch because that can often work for these summer species. Just gentle pull down on the line there, and then we release the line. Tighten up a little tiny bit to keep in contact with the lead. See if that makes it pounce. It's only been out there a couple of minutes. Got about 3 rag on each of the hooks. There is life in the sea. That's what we want. Life in the sea. And I don't mean swimmers. No more interest. That does give me confidence though, that there's fish out there. Or a fish out there. One fish is out there. Try and have a little twitch. No. Okay, so it seems like that one's moved off. Let's reel in, see what the baits are like. This tip does bend nicely. So at least we'll be able to see which hook it's gone for. Bottom hook. So I'll get some more bait on the bottom hook to get that chucked back out. But yeah, good to see. Always nice to get a bite. Always nice to get a bite. So let's have a little chat about tactics. Just now you saw me twitch the bait when I had a bite, but that's not the only time twitching can help. Certainly if I was fishing a match, I'd be much more attentive to my rod. But you can entice bites just by getting hold of your line, giving it a pull and releasing that line, and then just making sure you stay in contact with the lead. Think of it like a cat and mouse. If you've got a cat like I have, you'll know if you chuck them a toy, they might watch, they might wiggle their bum, but they're going to wait until that mouse shoots off before they're going to jump on it. Similar thing can happen with school bass, which is what I'm trying to catch today. You make that bait flutter, all of a sudden it could entice that bite. So it hasn't worked just now when I've done that bit of twitching, but there's not a lot around today. But it's certainly a good tactic if you're trying to catch fish like this that are going to respond to a bit of movement. Just keep twitching your line every so often and you might induce that bite. Works well with other species as well, but bass is what I'm after today. Little ones, little schoolies. But we haven't had one yet. I just had a bite. Just had a bite on the left-hand rod, the one with the white tip. Conditions have changed a lot in the last hour, the last half hour. The wind has swung right round to the southeast and blowing almost in my face, sort of coming that way. So the camera's almost pointing straight into the wind. It's definitely chopped up to see a tiny bit, but nice to see a bite. Let's see if this one comes to anything. Second bite of the day. It's definitely been hard going. So that's on the 2-hook loop rig, but I'm not clipping down, I'm just sending it out as a flapper. And there's two beautiful big king rag on there, hoping to tempt that fish. So I'm not going to twitch this one. This is the one with the grip lead on. But let's just keep watching, see if this bite develops. The camera's probably a little bit high, sorry about that. I'm just on a steeper bit of shingle here, and I have lowered you down a bit. I'll have another fiddle with the camera in a minute, see if I can get the height better so it doesn't look like you can just see the top half of my body. Just going to keep watching for that bite. The multi-tip is twitching a little bit, you might be able to see that, but that's just the waves. It's got a very sensitive tip, and now these waves are coming in across the bay. It's just catching on the line, making that pull down every so often. There's definitely a bite on the other rod. Anyway, I'll bring you back if I get some more action. Well, it's been a little over 5 minutes since I had that bite and no more sign of the fish, so it's time to reel in and check the baits. Let's go around the other side of the tripod. Let's see if there's anything on it. Just that one pull down I had. I'll tell you, it's absolutely baking down here. Even the wind is warm, and I'm definitely too hot. It's probably, well, it's gone the hottest time of day, but to be honest, it feels hotter. I think the wind's warmed up since it changed direction. Got a little bit of weed in one of my eyes up there, so I'll sort that out once I've got this in. So have we got anything on the end? No fish, but let's see if we can see which bait they went for. Top hook, well, both hooks looked untouched, but I definitely had a bite. So I'll get these baits refreshed and get the rod sent back out. Firstly, let's get that bit of weed out the eye. There we go. So there we can see, look, if I just grab that one. Oop, need a longer arm. Both those baits look absolutely untouched. So whatever it was that bit, decided it didn't want to eat my worm. Can't think why, they're lovely fresh dug worms. But hey, I'm no fish, so what do I know? Time to get some fresh baits out. Well, I ain't gonna lie, it is absolutely baking down here. It's gone 5 o'clock in the evening, and it is still way too hot. The wind is warm, the sea is warm, the sky is warm, everything's warm. All I can say is it's warm, warm, warm. Whoa, and the beach is slippery. I've had 2 bites. I've been fishing in the heat, trying to keep my bait out the sun as best I can, watching the rod tips, doing a bit of online shopping, and nothing. The tide's ripping through, but even that, the tide rip hasn't brought on the fish. So this is the plan. I am going to have one more cast with the worms that I've got out of the cool pack. I'm going to take the other worms home while I'm hoping they're still in reasonable condition, even though they've been out in this heat for hours. And if I can keep them alive, then I'll get out again in a couple of days and record another video. Probably head down Brighton Marina. If I manage to do that, and if the worms live, then this will go up as a Sunday night special rather than my usual Wednesday slot. And then a couple of days time, I'll get something recorded down the marina, stick that up on the usual Wednesday. But when this goes up, you'll know whether I made it out again and whether my worms lived. So that's going to be the end of this session, unless something happens on this last cast. I'm going to pack up, get back to the car and head home to try and cool down in a nice cold shower, because it really is baking. If I haven't said that enough, just so I say it again, it's hot, hot, hot. Yeah, so that's it. No fish today, only 2 bites. I've tried my best. I've been twitching, putting fresh baits out, but all to no avail. So if you've liked the video, please consider clicking the like button, and I'd love it if you subscribed. That's all from Tidemills. Join me on the next session.